It's time for the main stuff in producing this short film, which is animation and composition. The software we are using for animation is Cartoon Animator 4 and After Effects for the compositions. Cartoon Animator 4 adopts rigs in animating the characters, so we have to rig each character using Photoshop. If you are new to Cartoon Animator 4, you have to set up your image editor, which is going to be Photoshop or any PSD editor. So click on Edit, then Preferences. So you are going to click on Image, then you are going to get Image Editor. So locate the file. So I'm just going to locate Photoshop applications. So you can click on Open, then it's going to set. So now we need to rig the character. So I'm going to be needing a character in 45 degrees as well as this. So you can just go to Actor, then Characters, then select this 3G 360. So I'm going to double click on 3G Human, and I'm going to look for a character here that is in 45 degrees as our character. So I like using previous templates, like these are pre-made templates in Cartoon Animator 4, but you can well as use dummies. So you can just select this dummy and use it to rig your character. But I do like using characters template, so I think this character is in 45 degrees as well, so I'm just going to double click on this, then it's going to import into the stage mode. So I'm just going to click on this button, which is the composer. Then I'm going to click on PSD, launch PSD editor. So it's going to bring this pop-up, then you can leave the settings as this. So I'm just going to click on launch. So once you are going to get this file in Photoshop, so we have to split our characters into the file that this character is. If you check the L arm, so it has the L arm separate and the L4 arm separate. So it also have the tight separate and the L shank separate. L shanks means left shank and right shank. This is actually L tint. So this is the left tint and right tint. So and this is the body, like the torso. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z. So we are just going to split our characters in this form. So when you go back to your character in Adobe Illustrator, you see that we already have the hand separate, this hand as well separate. The only thing we need to split are actually this hand, and this leg as well. So we just need to split this file. So let's start with this hand. So I think I'm going to shift this watch. I'm going to shift it down here. It looks a lot, so I'm going to look for the layer. Okay, that's it. I'm just going to shift it down and bring it here. I'm also going to adjust this now because it's not looking great there. I mean these settings. So I'm just going to drag this here and drag this here. You can actually delete this. Since this is a thin hand, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go to properties and then click on this layer. Then I'm going to make sure this on this. Now for this, I'm just going to set everything back. Then you can actually shift this a bit, reduce. So reduce this. Okay, I think this is great. So okay, where the hand is actually great now. So I'm just going to split this hand into two. So now I'm going to look for a place I want to split it like this. I want L arm and the arm and the forearm. So I'm thinking somewhere here is actually good, or let's say somewhere here. Yeah, I'm going to be using somewhere here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to use an S clip. So I'm just going to use a perfect S clip there. I'm going to change its color so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's zoom in. So I'll be splitting it here. So I'm going to put this S clip. I'm going to make sure it's perfect on each side of where I'm splitting. So let me see. Okay, I'm not thinking I should split it here. Actually, I think I should actually go a little bit down to somewhere here. Let's see. Okay, I think this place is actually great. So I'll be splitting it here. So I'm just going to adjust this so that I can fit the width of this and this. Now I'm going to create a marks for this, for the arm and for the forearm. So I'm just going to use the pen tool. So I'm just going to be creating a marks like this. So this marks is for the arm. So I'm just going to duplicate this marks, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to change these two. I'm going to bring them here so that we can get a marks for the forearm as well. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to let me change this marks color so that we can see what we are working on. Changing this as well. So let's bring this or the radar up. So I'll be duplicating this radar. Then I'm going to be combining each one with each marks here. So we have two marks here. So I'm going to combine, or you can unite. Let's unite the two. So it's going to turn to one marks like this. So I'm going to do the same for the second marks. Unite. You can merge or unite. Just make sure it turns out to be a layer. So I'm just going to I'm going to cut the marks. No, I'm going to cut the arm, the full arm with these marks so that I can create the marks I want. So I'm just going to duplicate the arm. Then I'm going to select one marks here and one arm that I duplicated. So I'm going to click on this insect. So it's going to give us this. I drop the color back. Then I'm going to be doing the same thing for this second duplicated that we have not cut. So insect, and we are going to get this and copy this. So what we have done is that we have split these two. You see, we have split them into two. So you don't need to replace these. You don't need to replace what we've done for this to this. You can just copy everything here and duplicate it, since we duplicate it here. So I'm just going to click on these two, then go to objects, transform and reflect. So I'm just going to copy vertical. So we can just shift this to this, make sure it's perfect. So I think let's make it perfect. I think it's perfect like this. I'm not sure, so I'm going to make sure it's perfect. So let me zoom this in. So I'm going to make it perfect. Okay, I think it's perfect now. So I'm going to delete the previous arm that is here, which is not two. So just delete that, and we got this arm for this. So you can change the layering so that it's not going to mess up this. So I'm just going to drag it down somewhere here, and this as well, you can drag it down like on the torso somewhere here, and the hands as well, you can move them below. So we are going to be doing the same step for the leg as well. So I'm going to look for a perfect place I'm going to cut. So looking at the leg, I think somewhere here should be great for the nail. So create an S clip there. So I'm going to create an X clip, then I'm going to zoom out so that I can see that okay, I'm not making a wrong choice there. I think I'm making a wrong choice there. So I'm just going to shift it down a little. So I'm going to shift it here and make sure the S clip is perfect with the parallel lines there. So let's create our marks now. So using your pen tool, create marks around this. So you can duplicate the marks so that this line settings is not going to change. So then we move these two down there. So we need to duplicate the S clip. So I'm just going to duplicate the S clip and match one to the marks. So duplicate the S clip and you can use unite, you can use match. So now they both got the S clip. So I'm just going to duplicate the leg. So we can bring the marks down so that we won't be okay. I think this is where it is. So I'm just going to duplicate. I'm trying to, okay, I'm going to bring this up, then duplicate it. So I'm going to be using insect to insert each marks. So and a marks as well. So insect. So now we've got two files here, like these two are for the leg. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z and I drop the color back. So I'm just going to duplicate these two for the other leg. So just duplicate and bring them there. I'm not trying to isolate that, so I'll bring them here. So I'm just going to delete the previous one. I think this. So this is it. I'm going to delete it. Now I think we have split our characters into what we want. So I'm going to be grouping them into each layer that these are, this is the torso. So we have to group everything here, plus the neck, the clothing and everything. You just have to group them. So I'm going to group the torso. Let's start by the torso. So I'm going to select everything here plus the neck. So let's try and select them here, this, or you can just use shift and select each one on the screen. So let me select the neck as well. Then I'm going to select it from here. I'm looking for the neck. Okay, I think this is it. So I'm going to move them out. Okay, that's the torso. So I'm just going to use Ctrl G and group them into one. Then this as well, I'm going to be grouping these two together because they are going to serve as the forearm. So everything here, clothing that is going to be here, if your character has clothes here, like, so you have to cut it with the forearm and group them together. So just like that. So once we group that, what again we need to group? Okay, we don't need to group this. So that's all we need to group here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to set our character's height or bigness. So I'm just going to go to Photoshop and click on this torso, which is named as the hip. So I'm going to make sure our character's hip as well is bigger or smaller to this size. So I'm just going to drag it and drop it there. Let's see. Okay, it's actually smaller. So I'm going to try and I'm not holding shift. So I'm going to try and make it perfect height here. Let's see. I think I'm going to hide this and let's hide this. So let's see. This is the torso, right? Okay. So I think we need to scale it down a little. So I think this is great. So I'm just going to drag this back. This torso, this is our torso. I'm going to drag it back into Adobe Illustrator so that we can use its bigness to scale our character. So I'm just going to create a new layer, then drag our image to that. Then we can lock it and put it under layer 1. So this is our layer 1, our original layer. We are just using this to set its height and bigness. So we can delete this here and unhide this back. So I'm just going to select our layer 1, which is everything we've done here for our character. So scale this down and scale this up. But before we do that, I'm going to do something. They are in creating our characters. If you check the eyes, they are actually the outline. So this is actually an outline in the stroke of I think 1 or something that we use here. So I'm going to change this into a few so that when we scale it up, it's not going to be thinner. We can draw a big eyes here and use the same or outline, so it's going to get thinner. So just go to, when you select every layer here, so that you can go to objects, then click on expand appearance, then go to objects back and click on expand. So it's going to expand everything back into, it's going to turn everything into fill. So there won't be a stroke there that is going to make our characters look bad. So now you can now scale them up and make them match this. So I'm going to scale up and make them match this layer. Okay, I think they are almost, but I'm going to leave it like this. Okay, this is perfect. So I'm going to be deleting the layer 2 and I'm going to change the art body here, so that it's going to just fill our characters and it's not going to look like. So let's change the artboard. So now I'm just going to save this